Good morning, everyone. This is going to be one of the fun weeks that I have done with Inspiration for Today. I've looked so forward to this week, partly because Joan McConville is back. She's been on the show before. Good morning, Joan.
Good morning.
And I had you on because you are a fun person. So we do have fun together. Don't
We do.
So Joan's one of our Laguna Woods staff from Saddleback who lives in Laguna Woods, and it's just a pleasure to be with you. This week I'm titling Favorite Things Week. And so I've asked Joan to bring a few things, but we're going to start out today with one of my favorite things. And in a way, it's a favorite person. You say, person? What's that about? So we have to have a verse for the day, however. And so here's the verse for today. It comes from Luke chapter 9. And if you look up that passage, it's Jesus asking people to follow him, really like he does today. And in verse 59 and beyond, Jesus says, follow me. The next couple of verses, people give him all kinds of excuses. And then he says, and this is the verse for today, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. In other words, don't make an excuse, just follow Jesus. Well, you'll see where that comes in because one of my heroes in life is Nolan Ryan.
Was he a baseball player?
I was going to ask you if you even heard of Nolan Ryan. I don't know how much, he is a baseball player.
Baseball is my favorite sport of all
Is
those
it?
sports that are on TV, yes.
Well, did you ever see Nolan Ryan pitch?
Years ago.
Well, he was
Yeah.
years ago. However, there's certain things about Nolan Ryan that I so admire. And I know these qualities you would admire too. But one of them was, and how it fits this verse for today, he is one of only 29 players in the history of baseball to have played games in 4 different decades. He kept going.
How old was he then?
He was in his mid-40s.
That's unheard of.
And you know what? His amazing thing was that when he pitched, consistently he threw the ball, actually I don't know if this can make a big deal to you, but over 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
Today's big pitchers are in the low 90s. Mid-90s are the best. Nolan was over 100 consistently.
Wow.
Well, so when I left a job that I had in downtown LA years ago as a salesman, they gave me something that I've always treasured. And so it's this signed picture from Nolan Ryan on the mound at Angel Stadium when he, wait a minute. No, this was in Texas. The Angels traded him to Texas. At Texas is when he got his 5,000th strikeout. He's one of only 2 players that has more strikeouts than innings pitched in the history of baseball. He was amazing. So even in his 40s, he was the strikeout king. So I treasure this very much.
Wonderful.
It hangs in my office, and it's a way that God uses to remind me to keep going. Don't give up. There's no reason to stop. Now, before we move on to the application, I just have, you can see what a fan I am. But a couple of his other records, he had, eventually, his total strikeouts were 5,714. No other pitcher in the history of baseball has 5,000. He is the only pitcher to ever do that. But here's the thing. He also had, do you know what a no-hitter is?
No one gets a hit, actually.
No one gets a hit. Do you know how rare it is that somebody pitches a no-hitter?
It's pretty rare.
Very rare. Maybe 3 or 4 a year in the whole
Mm-hmm.
major leagues. And the number of pitchers that have ever had 2, I should have looked that up, but let's just, a wild guess
Mm-hmm.
is maybe 20. The number that have 3 or more is 2. And Nolan Ryan had 7. 7
Wow.
no-hitters. And so here's the thing, and my wife reminded me to share this story. So every time that Nolan Ryan pitched, we went to the Angel game because I had dreamed I wanted to be at a no-hitter. And he had already had, I think, 4 at that time, more than any other pitcher ever. And I just thought, wow, I want to be there when he pitches his next. I always knew he was going to pitch a next. On June 1st, 1975 is the day I graduated from seminary. I had to go, and yet Nolan Ryan was pitching that day. But I had to go to the graduation. And what do you think happened that day?
He pitched a no-hitter.
Bingo.
And
Can you believe that?
you couldn't have taped it in those
No,
days, so
No,
you
there's
couldn't
no
see it.
taping.
No.
There's no even photography. So he got his, I think it was his 4th or 5th no-hitter on June 1st, 1975, which I'll never forget. Anyway, well, Joan, I've really been yapping along. Does this inspire you yet?
Well, the one thing that occurred to me is today they have these meters to judge how fast they pitched. How did they judge that back then? How did they know it was 100 miles an hour?
They had radar.
They did back then.
Yeah, there was speeding by radar even in those days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing to
Have
me.
you ever gone to a batting cage?
No.
Even to watch maybe
Well, I've seen it on TV, but I haven't actually been to one.
You haven't?
No.
Do you have any boy grandkids?
Yes, too.
You need to go to a batting cage. Oh, I don't even know why I say boy. Girls do the same thing today. So I apologize for that. But anyway, you need to do that because when you set that thing and it comes at 60 miles an hour, and that's not the fastest. I think 70 is the fastest at batting cages. It goes so fast. You can't. Honestly, I'm
Afraid.
too chicken
Yeah.
to stand there and let it go by like that. And Ryan was pitching at 100 miles
Can you
an
imagine?
hour. No. This is why he has 7 no-hitters. The batters,
They couldn't hit it.
they couldn't barely see it. No, he was amazing. But that's good. But the fact of the matter is, and I don't know where Nolan Ryan stands with the Lord. He's still active in baseball today, and his son is a manager of a major league team, as a matter of fact.
Really?
He's a general manager of the team. But he has always lived his life in a moral fashion, really with Christian values. I don't know where he stands with the Lord, but his life seems to indicate that he's a follower of Christ because he makes such moral, God-like decisions. You have such a great family, and aren't those the kind of things that bring you the most joy?
Yes. In fact, my oldest grandson chose his college because he wanted to play baseball, and he wanted to be on a D division in college. But in his senior year, he broke his ankle, and then he got mono. And so he was out in his senior year and felt like he could make up for that. And so he lost interest in trying to be a player. But he just loved the sport.
And as good as that is, though, you're more interested in character than anything.
Yes, and there's nothing that builds character better than being on a team.
Yeah. Well, folks, I don't know. I know you. Thank you for letting me share about Nolan Ryan, and I get very excited about that because he brought many exciting moments to our Diane and I's life when we used to go watch him pitch. We're going to have another very interesting story tomorrow. Hope you'll join us. See you then.